Custody, only one remains at large. Antoine Massey captured today at a home in Hollygrove in the 17th Ward, and we have new details. The tip that led to this arrest called in directly to Sheriff Susan Hudson around 10 o'clock this morning. She then alerted state police.
We have complete team coverage tonight at 6 with the latest from police, where this arrest went down and what's next for that lone inmate still on the run. First up, Jasmine Franklin with the latest from an NOPD press conference that ended moments ago. Jasmine.
Yeah, Travers and Gina, that press conference ended just seconds ago, and NOPD and other city leaders gave more insight into the arrest of Antoine Massey. We know he was captured and taken back into custody earlier this afternoon around 3:30 p.m. in Hollygrove. But we also learned that the Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson received a tip this morning around 10 a.m. from a resident regarding a spotting of Massey at a home in Hollygrove. So Sheriff Susan Hudson got a tip from a resident, and this anonymous tip led to Massey's arrest. Multiple law enforcement agencies surrounded the home in Hollygrove, and by 3:30 p.m., Massey peacefully surrendered to police. So giving you that timeline again, this started around 10 a.m. this morning when Sheriff Susan Hudson got a tip, and by 3:30 p.m., Massey peacefully surrendered to police. Now, the U.S. Marshal's Office says Massey's arrest was a joint effort between multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, State Police, U.S. Marshals, and NOPD. State Police said in their press conference this evening, Massey will be flown to Angola, and that is where he'll be held in custody. Crime Stoppers tells us they have received thousands of tips about the escaped inmates. Crime Stoppers also saying they have received tips on all 10 of the escaped inmates. And Superintendent Kirkpatrick shares how the tip today led to the arrest of Antoine Massey.
It is the sheriff herself who got the tip from a citizen, and that alone speaks volumes to her legitimacy of relationships that matter. So when the community believes and trusts their police departments and their law enforcement agencies, they work cooperatively.
And we will hear from Sheriff Susan Hudson in just a few moments, a little bit later on in our newscast. But Superintendent Kirkpatrick also spoke during that press conference, as you heard there, and she, along with NOPD, are asking Derek Groves to turn himself in. They say continued law enforcement efforts across our area will continue until they find inmate Derek Groves, who is now the final inmate that is still on the run. We're now reporting live in New Orleans. Jasmine Franklin, WDSU News.
And let's continue our live team coverage of Massey's capture.
That's right. He was caught this afternoon along Strolitz in the Hollygrove area. That's where we find reporter Jonah Gilmore. Jonah, what are neighbors saying?
Well, Gina, Travers, neighbors who have been out here just watching this home since we've been here about 4 o'clock tell me that this appeared to be a well thought out operation, saying that it was massive, put together, organized, and it was very swift, saying it took no time for that law enforcement presence to swarm their street and then leave the area. I want to show you some video we obtained. That we were able to get this video. What you're looking at is the moment neighbors heard a lot of commotion and came outside to see several law enforcement agents in plain clothes, unmarked vehicles with tinted windows and several guns drawn. The homeowner tells me she received a call alerting her of what was taking place on her property, but she had no idea that it was Antoine Massey, the man who escaped from the Orleans Parish prison 6 weeks to date. That woman says only one of the units have a tenant occupying it, and it's unclear if that tenant was home at the time. She and others who live in this area called it shocking to know Massey was hiding just feet away. More importantly, surprised that he was still here in the city of New Orleans after a month on the run. The homeowner says her next step is to speak with police as she tries to piece together how he was able to get on her property and get into the home.
I'm frustrated too. I don't know what's happening. They say this is going on, and I get here and I don't even see a cop. So, it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. It's kind of shocking, but hey, things like this happen. We just have to, kind of.
And just for a little perspective here in Hollygrove, this is about a little over a mile away from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. So it's not that far when you think about the proximity of where we are right now. So many people in this neighborhood still, expressing that shock to know that this actually took place on their street. The property owner did tell me that her son was actually here earlier this morning. He was mowing the lawn and he was talking to neighbors and he left the property. What's unclear right now, when we got here, the gate was actually open to the driveway, so it's unclear if that gate was left open and maybe Massey may have saw an opportunity to get on the property. It's not clear right now how long he was actually here on the property. I know we had Jasmine said earlier that it was actually the Sheriff Susan Hussey who received the tip and called it in, but a lot of details and a lot of unknowns right now that we're still trying to piece together. We will be out here speaking with residents and bring you more on air and online. Reporting live in Hollygrove, Jonah Gilmore, WDS.